Chapter 2, verses 41 to 50. Vyavasayasika buddhihi ekeha kudu nandana bahushakahyanantascha udhayo vyavasayinam yavimam pushtitam vacham pravadantya vipashkitaha Vedavādarabhāpāṭha nānyadastīti vādinaḥ kāmātmānaḥ svargaparāḥ janma karma palapradaṃ kriyāviṣeṣabahulāṃ bhogaishvarya-gatim prati bhogaishvarya-prasaktānaṃ तया पदुतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्बन्धो नित्यसत्त्वस्तः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् यावानर्थबुधमाने सर्वशस्त्रम्पृतोदके तावान्नर्देषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः माते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि योगस्थ कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्धसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगात् धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणमन्विच्छ कृपणा फलहेतवः बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह ऊहे सुकृतदुष्कृते तस्मात् योगाय युज्यस्व योगकर्मसु कौशलम्.
In the path of Karma Yoga, the intellect is resolute and one-pointed. If a person is not practicing Karma Yoga, he is following his desires, pursuing the likes and dislikes, as a result of which he remains a victim of the mind. And what is the nature of the mind? Bahushakaha anantaha, which is many branched and endless. Many branched in the sense the various likes and dislikes, the many likes and dislikes. Anantaha, infinite, means even a like that keeps coming up again and again and again. Either it is the variety or even one or two, the same thing keeps coming again and again and again. So either way, mind is that which is many branched and endless. This mind which is many branched and endless, if it were to guide the action, if it were to direct the action, what will be the nature of that action? What will be the nature of that action? Again I repeat, mind is many branched. mind is endless. If this many-branched mind, if this endless mind were to guide the action, were to direct the action, what will be the nature of that action? What will be the quality of that action? It's in vain. Action is in vain. It's a useless action. What will be the nature of that action? Not single pointed. No consistency. That's all. No consistency. It's vain because there is no consistency. Is useless because there is no consistency. So the whole thing boils down to consistency. What takes the consistency away? You know that you have to be consistent. No one needs to give you a discourse on be consistent. You know that you have to be consistent, and you are so helpless that you can't be consistent. What is the force? That's what he says. It's the force of the mind. It's the force of the mind. The force of the raga and dvesha. The force of the likes and dislikes takes the consistency away. What is consistency? What is consistency? That's all. Having chosen to do one, say no to anything that comes and interferes. The capacity to say no. That's where intellect is resolute and one-pointed. The capacity to say no to the interferences, the capacity to say no to the disturbances is resolute, single-pointed. It's not that you don't say no at all. You also say. It's not that you don't say no. It's not that no one says no. They also say no. But what makes you to say that no? It's not that you don't say no at all. You also say no. But what makes you to say that? Say no to something. A material goal. It's not that people don't practice consistency and all. They also, in the world also there is a consistency being practiced. But that consistency is not actually taking them anywhere, is not leading them anywhere, because the goals are materialistic. Like for example, if there is a meeting in the office, the wife calls and says, let's go for a movie. Can say no. The child is sick. Someone says there is a party, come. You can say, it's not that we don't say no at all, but what is it that is driving it? That makes it karma yoga or the otherwise, the opposite. You follow? Therefore, what is karma yoga? What is karma yoga? The intellect is resolute, one-pointed, for a higher cause. That's where it turns into karma yoga. It is resolute, it's one-pointed for a higher cause. For the purpose of the higher, you are able to say no to the lower. That capacity, he says, is called, you are practicing karma yoga. That's the definition. In this means, verse number 41, where we left last week. In this means, in karma yoga. In karma yoga, the intellect is resolute and one-pointed. One-pointed means, for all practical purposes, for a person who is established in karma yoga, he has no other interest other than performing Karma Yoga. So, as a result of which one point had become, there is no conflict at all. There is no conflict. In the person, in the case of a human being who is not established in Karma Yoga, lots of conflict. What is the conflict? Anyway, Karma Yoga means attitude only, no sir. Action wise we can do whatever, because you only said the books only it is said Karma Yoga means it is only the attitude. The conflict starts straight away, and we don't even know that we have compromised. We don't even know that we have compromised. How do you know that? How do you know that you have compromised? How do you know that you have compromised from Karma Yoga? 2 indicators. So, you know, if these 2 indicators are there, you have compromised in Karma Yoga. What are the 2 indicators? Number 1, boredom. Doing that will become kind of boring. Same thing again and again. Why not take a break for a week and come back? Take a break from what? From Karma Yoga. First thing that you have violated Karma Yoga is it becomes boredom. Boring. Boring means boredom, you understand, no? What is boredom? What is boredom? Huh? No interest. What is boredom? Monotony. No enthusiasm. Looking for variety. Boredom is a strong dislike to what you are doing currently, because other desires are getting neglected, frustrated. Other desires are getting frustrated. Not only other desires are getting frustrated, there is nothing that is happening in this also. So there is a boredom. There is a boredom. First thing, you feel bored. And if you look at the actions, 3rd day, 4th day, you start doing something. 3rd day, 4th day, a kind of boredom sets in. What has happened in the 3 days that it has come to? Carefully follow. How you started and where did you end? It results in a kind of first indication that you have moved away from Karma Yoga is boredom. That's what he says, no utsaha, no enthusiasm. No utsaha, no enthusiasm, boredom. First indicator. The second indicator that you have moved away from Karma Yoga is, first indicator is boredom. Second indicator, two indicator. The common complaints. Everyone has it. When I say everyone, no, most has it. What is the second one? Regarding action. Result. Adella later. Doing liye. We are talking about at the point of doing. Boredom. Second one is agitation. That is very generalized. Tiredness. Very close. Pressure someone. Correct. Tiredness. Correct. Tiredness. Lack of energy. The thought of doing it itself tires you. For Sunday va indiki. திருப்பி போய் இதே இல்லையா, அதே ஆந்திர மயில சபா இல்லையா, அதே ஆளுங்க வேற, ஒன்றும் சேஞ்ச் ஆக மாட்டேன்றது. அட்லீஸ்ட் வேற ஏதாவது சேஞ்சாலும் நத்திங் இஸ் சேஞ்சிங். Okay, bring in all the wisdom to motivate, to come and talk. Or maybe some toothache will start, maybe some backache will start. That is enough reason to find an excuse. That is enough reason to find an excuse for what? Call Venkat and say group discussion vachikondo. And Venkat will ask me, sir, group discussion edhukku engita solreenga, because I am stuck here now in that group discussion. At least others, why can't you call others and they let them go? Why should I go? No, I will organize the classes. And he is also, so he is praying, I come. Correct. He is praying every Sunday. He will pray. Oh, you indicated and all on the tolaitro. Otherwise, it becomes the thought of doing it itself is. You have not started doing it. The thought of doing it itself is so painful. That's where to avoid the pain only we start looking for. To avoid this pain only we start looking for shortcuts. We won't call it as a shortcut. We call it as. We will not call it as shortcut. We will call it as. How can we do it more efficiently, sir? The moment you use the word efficient, you think. That's where we get carried away by the vocabulary that we use. How to do it more efficient? It means, what are you actually asking? How to reduce the pain component. How to reduce the pain component. யாராவது ஒருத்தர்கிட்டே போய் 6 lakhs ஒரு செக் வாங்கி வந்துட்டா, how easy it will be. Instead of WhatsApp message, phone call, why struggle like that, sir? Go to one man, and that one man gives 6 lakhs. Yeah. Yesterday when he was asking, have you collected? I was so tempted to say, not even 1 rupee we collected. I was so tempted to say that. We are fine, no problem. Where are we fine? We are not. Efficient idea. Otherwise, why waste so much of phone call? Why run around? Why run behind so much of people? Why not get it with one? That's an efficient way of doing. It's not an efficient way of doing. That consistent doing is so painful. We want to. How efficiently it can be done? How efficiently it can be done? Karma Yoga means working for a cause. Karma Yoga means working for a cause. Using your existing talent for a higher cause. That connection is Karma Yoga. Otherwise, we think Karma Yoga means going out and starting up something new, doing social service. So Karma Yoga means we have to start an orphanage definitely, or at least an old age home. What is Karma Yoga? Connect your existing talent, your existing capacity to a higher goal. That's where Karma Yoga becomes a spiritual practice for each and every human being in the field of activity where they are placed already. Are you able to follow? That is Karma Yoga. How to use it for a higher cause. Use what? Use your existing. You don't have to go and start something new. But then, so whenever we talk about higher cost, there is a misunderstanding. What is the misunderstanding? Oh. I am an ordinary housewife, sir. What do I do? Yeah. I have an extraordinary worker in the office, sir. Angi ordinary, sir. Yeah. I am ordinary. What do I do? Yeah. You can learn how to make perfect rava dosas. No, I will be saying that. You can learn how to make perfect rava dosas. What is the ordinary or extraordinary in that? Whenever we talk about karma yoga, we believe in a field of activity that is higher. That's why where we are, we feel bored. Where we are, what we are doing, we don't have that enthusiasm. Because we believe karma yoga means higher cause, means a different field of activity, a different area of activity. It's very difficult to convince your own self that you need to practice karma yoga in your present existing field of activity. If you can't practice karma yoga in your present existing field of activity, what makes you to think you can do it in somewhere else? If you can't serve those who are known to you, what makes a human being believe that they can serve those who are not, who are unknown? If I can't be charitable to those who are at home, how can I be charitable outside? That's where Ramatirtha says, charity begins at home, he says. Charity begins at home. I hate those who are around me, but outside I come and learn. Pick up a bitter fight at home, scream and shout and make a fuss at home. At least every Sunday Badri will drive. Out of decency sake, we stop fighting. Yeah. Today I am driving, so I drove. So even right up to coming here, screaming and shouting in the car, fighting with my wife, I didn't do all that. I don't do that. Yeah, I just stay quiet. Even if she shouts, I just music I say. Can't accommodate, can't be charitable there. As soon as I see this platform, come and sit here. Om Gana Vavatu, be charitable. Ramatirtha says, charity begins at home. Service, karma yoga starts at home. At home means, home means not the literal home. Home means where? The field of where you are. But talk to anybody, they always feel karma yoga means they have to do something else. For what they are doing is inferior, boring. Inga karma yoga practice panna mudiyadhu, sir. Because office environment is not conducive. Which environment is conducive? Vedanta Institute, Madras. I don't know why, that's very conducive. Which place is conducive to practice karma yoga? To practice karma yoga, it is the individual that matters, not the field of activity, not the environment outside. That's what he says. Intellect is resolute and one-pointed means what? Not the field of activity doesn't matter, the environment doesn't matter. What matters is the individual who is always think about this. Why do we find so easy to serve a stranger? Why do we find so comfortable to be charitable to a stranger, and so difficult with those around. They don't deserve my service because you know them, huh? Correct? These people don't deserve my service, sir, because I know them. The very fact that you know them only, they deserve your service, number one. Number two, they are all very selfish people, sir. The very fact that they are selfish only, who needs the treatment? Diseased man only needs the treatment. A healthy person doesn't need. A healthy person doesn't need service. But then we always say, Shankaracharya and Ramana Maharshi I will serve. Because where they don't need your, they don't need your, even if you don't serve also they are okay. I used to do work in his room. He always say, hey, Karma Yoga is not doing here, because in my presence everything just happens. Karma Yoga is doing it outside. I used to think, how much more difficult is going to be outside. You follow what I am saying? The higher doesn't need. Who needs the service? What is Karma Yoga? That's where identification comes in. Who needs? Those who are at a lower level. But then the very fact that they are at a lower level itself is enough to have hatred towards them. Then whom are we serving? Are you able to follow? Therefore, what is Karma Yoga? The highest, using your present environment, learning how to dedicate it to the higher cause. That is Karma Yoga. That's where Karma Yoga can be practiced anywhere. Number one. Number two, Karma Yoga can be practiced in the present. Otherwise you have to wait for. Otherwise Karma Yoga, to start Karma Yoga I have to wait for 2 more years, sir. Then I will do Karma Yoga, because I am retiring. After that I will do Karma Yoga. Yeah. After retirement no one will. Yeah. I am a retired chairman. Who is interested in him? Yeah. I am a serving chairman. Yeah. There is a difference. No. Once I retire, I will come and do Karma Yoga. How Karma Yoga is the practice that ought to be done now. Karma Yoga is a practice that ought to be done in the present. Why? If you are not doing Karma Yoga, you are falling a victim to the desires again and again and again. As it is, you are a victim of your likes and dislikes. Even in the present, you continue to be a victim. Therefore, somewhere down the line in the present, you have to stop. You can't stop it in the future. It ought to be started in the present. It ought to be started now. It means you have to start. It means you have to start from now. Now means 8:45 varakum vaanam. Adu varakum I will do. Now means in your existing. If you are not doing that, you are falling a victim to your likes and dislikes. The most difficult aspect in life is this. We can see very clearly how others are falling a prey to their likes and dislikes. You can understand that very clearly, but impossible to see it in one's own self. Impossible to see it in one's own self. When you start practicing Karma Yoga, you can actually experience how much you are a victim of your likes and dislikes. That's why Karma Yoga is very conducive to make you realize how much you are a victim of your likes and dislikes. Otherwise you can sit and theorize and theorize and theorize, thinking that everything is alright, but nothing is. You start practicing Karma Yoga, then you realize that how much you are held as a victim of your likes and dislikes. A simple example. Take this as a simple example. Tell yourself that next Sunday I will fast. See, normally you think you are not a victim of food, no? Normally you think you have perfect control over food. You have no problems at all. That is because of what? It's available. So much is there in fridge all the time. That's all. Tell yourself that next Sunday I will not eat. This Sunday. 1 week you will think about food. So much. You will be surprised. Where was it hiding for so long? Where was it hiding for? It's there. But then you have not started doing a practice by which you can be aware of it. What is that practice called? Karma Yoga. Are you able to follow? You have not started that practice. What is the practice? The practice of how to realize that you are a victim of your raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. Karma Yoga is that practice. That's where in the previous verse he said, little bit of this practice, Arjuna, is enough, he said. Little bit of this practice is enough. You will be protected from Rayade Mahato Bhaya, great fears. Yeah, big, great dangers you will be free from. Little bit of this practice. What is the practice? Intellect fixing up something and pursuing that. Mind will say, who are you to decide? I will decide what? Mind will look at you and say, you don't decide what you do. I decide. What is it that I decide? One day I like to eat, I will eat. One day, maybe because of indigestion, I feel like not eating, I will not eat. And I will call it as, so I fasted today. It's not about now. When did you decide that? 1 week back you say, and stick to that irrespective of, but then Saturday evening only you start feeling more hungry. Then suddenly you remember, doctor said, your blood pressure, your blood pressure will drop, your blood sugar will drop, maybe you will get a hemorrhage also. Hypoglycemia. What is it? Hypoglycemia. Headache will, not ordinary headache, splitting headache will come. Anyway, it's only attitude, no? Eat. All that has happened is what? You are not able to say no and take that pain of that no. Are you able to follow? There is the no. It's not just the no. Every no comes with a pain. The inability to take the pain of no. Where will you get the enthusiasm from? Where will you get the energy from to do all that? He says from the intellect. The intellect does it. The intellect brings the understanding. The intellect brings the energy and enthusiasm to do it. In Karma Yoga, in Karma Yoga, it is resolute. Having made the decision, it will not waver. It will not change. Whatsoever the circumstances is, howsoever trying it is, doing will continue. Today, even if there is no disturbance, the mind will create a disturbance to avoid doing. Very cloudy today. Why? Why go? In case if it rains on the way back, get drenched, that's all. But then I will go. The mind finds mind is constantly on the lookout for what? To avoid doing that which ought to be done. The mind is constantly looking for an excuse to avoid doing that which ought to be done, and it has enough intelligence to do that. That's why it's so cunning it is. It's so cunning, it's so powerful, it will find enough reason, and it will be so convincing. The reasoning that, actually it's not reasoning at all, I don't know what it is called. That will be more convincing, that will be more powerful than the collective wisdom of all the sages and saints put together. Imagine all the sages and saints on one hand. Rama, Krishna, Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha, Shankara, put all of them on Shankaracharya, Vivekananda, I don't know, who all you can think of. Think of them. They are on one side. There is something more powerful than their collective strength. What is that? Your mind. Mind means likes and dislikes. I will not do. That's all. It turns stubborn and goes and sits in one corner. I will not do. And you can't do anything. You are so victimized. You are so helpless about it. After a period of time, when you feel like doing, you will do. So today I feel like doing. What can I do? Today I feel like doing. Whether you feel like doing or you don't feel like doing, it's not when it ought to be done, it ought to be done. But Vedanta only says we should love what we do. Vedanta has never said you are all wrong wisdom. Somewhere, some drunken man on the roadside, Vedanta says what? Whether you like it or not, Huxley. Remember the definition. Vedanta treatise. Huxley's definition. The definition of an educated man. Fantastic definition it is. What is the definition of an educated human being? Huxley says. And he has quoted it in Vedanta treatise. The capacity to do a thing when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. The capacity to do that which ought to be done, whether you like it or not. No, we should like what we do. No. You start doing that, third day you will stop. Why? It's many branched. You have to stop. Why? Because it is many branched. As you are pursuing one like, another like will come and distract you into something else. Another light will come and distract you into something else. By the time you reach the end of the day, you are tired, having done nothing, he says. By the time you reach the end of the day, you are tired, having done nothing. Personally, to me, the most inspiring field is the academic classroom. Next time you go there, you observe that classroom. There is a person there who is listening for 50 years. There is a person there who is listening for 35 years. There is a person there listening for the first time. All in the same classroom. First of all, do you realize that? All in the same classroom. How to bring that? How to bring that enthusiasm? Where is that energy? Half the time I will be lost in that only. I won't listen to what he is. Not really. So inspiring it is. Where is that energy? Where is that energy coming from? Same thing we do. We get so tired. Where is that energy coming from? That's Karma Yoga. Doing the same thing again and again and again. Not moving to the next. Not moving to the next. In the olden days, they have this practice of the commune, the Gurukula, the commune lives by the student's diksha. The student has to go house to house, beg, bring, and the commune, the Gurukula will be, the Gurukula will survive on that. Do you know that? Do you know that? Bhavati Diksham Dehi. Adunde remnants as a drama they do today. In the sacred ceremony, it's the drama, it's a farce what they do today. It's cheating it is. It's not real. They bring the rice already. All the people have come, all those who are invited already, they come and the boy says Bhavati Diksham Dehi, and it is Summa drama, that's a farce it is. And they train. You know how they train? You have to go, stand in front of the first house, beg, till an answer comes out of that house. Twice you shout, thrice you shout, no answer, go to the next. No. Till an answer comes from that house, you need to stand in front of that house. They say, sometimes when that man, Mahavira, goes for begging, the house will be locked. You won't know who's there, who's not there. The house will be locked, and he will be standing in front of that house. Others go to that man. Maybe he is in the field somewhere. Maybe he's gone to the shop somewhere. They go and call him. That man is there standing in front of your house. Come. Unless you give a reply, that man will not move to the next. We should ask, sir. Twice, thrice we ask. If it is not happening, move to the next. Try once or twice. If it doesn't come, move to the next. You should not be adamant like that, sir. You should not be pig-headed like that. What is Karma Yoga? Till an answer comes. That's what happened. In the case of Adi Shankaracharya, it happened. See, he went and stood in front of that house, begging. That lady inside the house was so ashamed to come out and say, no. To say yes, we are feeling ashamed now. Ramona, no, I can't do anything. With what? You should feel ashamed to say. Someone is asking for something, and Shankaracharya, the young boy, 8-year-old boy, is standing in front of the house asking Bhiksha, Bhavati Dehi. The lady is so ashamed to come out of the house because she is not having anything to give it to that boy. How sad it is. And she also knows he will not He will not go till she comes out and answers. Sense of remorse and she's feeling so ashamed, all that, she brings one half rotten amla. In that Kerala they do that, Malayalis they do that. They take that full amla and use it as a pickle. After I got married only I knew that. Before that I used to think, why amla? Because for us pickle na avakan gonkura. Never thought of amla. They do that because every year after the marriage, my father-in-law will bring one. I did poor thing. He will sit and do it and bring for you. Oh, it's not Shankaracharya experience. I used to think. He stood in front of that house asking for that, begging. She brings one half rotten amla. So ashamed, feeling so sorry, saying, this is the last thing I have. Please go to the next house. As she was saying, I have nothing to, she was crying because she is not having anything to give. We are crying because we are crying. Yeah. She is crying because she is not able to give. What a state it is. Shankaracharya, looking at that attitude of that lady, sang the hymn Kanakadara. For that lady, sang that hymn. The story is roof burst open and it rained. What did it rain? Gold. Yeah, gold. Till today, for no one else it has rained. Because I still remember, 45 years in my house also, people are saying Kanakadara. And I also learnt it. Nothing is happening. No? Look at that man's capacity. See, look at that meeting. Look at the two individuals there. See, what is his capacity? Just by one hymn, he is able to bring gold. And how is he living? How is he living? How is he living? That is one. And look at this lady. Old lady. So ashamed. So much feeling bad. Because of what? That she is not able to give. And she has given the last bit that she she is not trying. Having everything locked in the cupboard. She is not saying that. She has given the last that she had is given, and then she is saying, I don't have anything. Nature supports from all quarters. Ramatirtha says, nature will support you from all quarters and you will never be left. You don't have to do one action to safeguard yourself. Nature will come and protect you. Very poor action, a wretched action is going to say. Verse number 49 is going to say that. Wretched are those actions where you do action to safeguard yourself, to protect yourself. Wretched are those actions. Kripana palahetavaha, he is going to say that. Wretched are those, Arjuna. Wretched means miserable they will be. That's why you find everyone is miserable irrespective of what they have or what they don't have. Exactly the opposite is Karma Yoga. In this means in Karma Yoga, it's resolute. The intellect is resolute and it is one point. For many branched and endless is the mind. Endless and many branched is mind. The thoughts of the irresolute. The thoughts of the irresolute means they don't have any higher goal to pursue. What is higher goal? What is the higher goal in life? Relatively speaking, how I can be of some service to the other. In the absolute sense, self-realization. These are the goals. Higher goals means how I can be of some help to the other. Relatively. Absolutely, higher goal means the goal of self-realization. If you are not functioning with these, with any one of these, what will be your nature? What will be your mind? Many branched and endless. You pay the price. What is the price? Misery, agitations, worry, anxiety, fear of what will happen to me. I am not worried about me, sir. I am only worried about the future of my children. Either you are worried about yourself. Vedanta is saying be indifferent. It's not about that. The fear, that worry, that anxiety, that fear. It means you have moved away from Karma Yoga. The next three verses, 42, 43, 44 is read together and we'll read it once.
Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantyati paschitaha vedavasaratha patha anyadastiti vadinaha kamatmanasvargaparaha janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam Bhogaishvarya gatim prati Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam Taya pavita chetasam Vyavasayatmika buddhihi Samadhau na vidhiyate. He is talking about desire-ridden actions. Desire-ridden actions. And something happened this time. Desire-ridden action. What is desire-ridden action? He gives, remember these three verses. It gives such a wonderful explanation of how everyone dupes themselves and what they use to dupe themselves. That's why these three verses are read together. It's the same. It's a direct continuity of one to the other. I am doing time pass and the verse I can correct my attention. Give me the book. The unwise utter flowery speech, rejoicing in the letter of the Vedas, O Partha, saying there is nothing else than this. Obsessed with desires, with heaven as the ultimate goal of birth and action, many specific rites for attainment of pleasure and power. Those who are attached to pleasure and power, whose minds are drawn away by that flowery speech, have no determined intellect fixed in samadhi. Samadhi means God consciousness. Obsessed with desires, what he is saying is, in one word I'll explain the principle and then we'll go through the verse, it becomes easy. All that he is saying is, even when you come in contact with the higher, the attention is still on the lower. That's all he is saying. Even when you come in contact with the higher, the attention is still on the lower only. Like Ramana Maharshi says, you will come to the enlightened man and you will not know what to ask him, he says. You will come to that man and you will not know what to ask him. What you will ask him? Too much of problems are in the house. What do I do? No, what can he do? He can't do anything. Too much of problem in the office. What can I do? What can he do? He can't do anything. Not that he can't do anything. Whatever he says, correct. Whatever he says, we are not going to follow. So he becomes a kind of helpless. A kind of, who are those obsessed with desire, with heaven as the ultimate goal. Heaven means enjoyment. Heaven means enjoyment. With heaven as the ultimate goal means with enjoyment as the ultimate goal. That's why this worldly wisdom looks very fantastic. What does that worldly wisdom say? Whatever you do, you should enjoy. Enjoyment is the ultimate goal. Doing is not the goal. Enjoyment is the ultimate goal. Supposing one man says, I enjoy killing, now what to do? He'll start killing. Because you should enjoy what you do know. You follow what I am saying? Exactly the same thing. Humanity has not changed at all. Because for whatever we do, the ultimate focus is what? Ultimate focus is enjoyment. With heaven as the ultimate goal of birth and action, many specific rights. Many specific rights means many ways of trying to gain that enjoyment. Many specific rights means many ways of getting that enjoyment. Who are they? Attached to pleasure and power. Attached to pleasure and power. Even the fellow who is so powerless outside, go to his house and see him, walks around with that power. Obsessed with pleasure, obsessed with power. What is power? Why the obsession for power? Why the obsession for power? Superior than others. Why the obsession for power? Gives a false high stature. Obsession for power. Why the obsession for power? You want to control the other. You want to control the other. And the only way that you can control is by having power. That's why there is this obsession. Everyone wants to control the other. That's why there is this obsession for power. If there is no one for you to boss around, you will feel so. That's why you say, I feel very lonely, sir. I feel so dejected, sir. Why are you feeling lonely? You open the eyes, there are so many human beings around. You are not, but then you feel dejected. You feel lonely. What is this that is making a human being crave for power. The same craving drives people trying for those supernatural powers also. Because it makes them, supposing if I display a power, obviously what you will do? Great, sir. Great. So, arising from a deep inferiority complex. Arising from a deep inferiority complex. And Vedanta says, true power comes through service and sacrifice. True power comes through service and sacrifice. The person who is serving, the person who has sacrificed has power. As it is, he won't use it. That's why he says, character is to have power and not use it. Strength is to have power and not use it. Today, even when there is no power also, we want to. To whom you can show off? Look at the foolishness behind it. Obviously, you can't show off your power to somebody who is higher than you, because the very fact that he is higher means he will be laughing at you, maybe not at your face, but he knows where you stand. So, no, it's futile to show off your power to him. To whom you will display your power? Helpless. How ugly it is to display your power against those who are helpless. See, the security guy is so helpless because of the job there. He is standing at the gate. He is so helpless. I show my power to them. I can't forget that lady. Everything else I forget, but I can't forget that lady. Last week, in the counter, flight got delayed, missed the connecting flight. That man is going and telling that lady, do you know who I am? Obviously no one knows you. Yeah. If you are already well known, you will not ask this question. The very fact that you are made to ask this question means you are not known. Do you know who? Yeah. See, will Narendra Modi have to come and ask here, walk into this classroom and ask, do you know who I am? No, we are all blind and nothing. Yeah. Unless we are blind. Do you know who I am? That is real intellect. The sense of humor and the presence of mind that lady had. Extraordinary. Ranjini and Swati is tired of hearing this. 1,000 times I have told them this till now, in 1 week. See, that lady instantly stood up, looked at all. We're all standing in the queue. Does any one of you know who he is? I couldn't control I'm getting scared also, not knowing what's going to come next. Does any one of you know who he is? All of us have to say, at least I said I don't know. That's not it. The next statement that she said, see, that fellow must hang himself to death for that. Or bury himself. It seems he has lost his identity. How can you even? Flight is delayed. Connecting flight is missed. That's all. The world didn't come to an end. No one is died of a heart attack. Even if they die, what can you do? You can only stand and watch. See, the neighboring lady, she was crying and telling me, you know, ninga poite. I said, what happened? I got the news. I have to tell her all that. You know, she was saying, the doctor said, take him home. Nothing can be done. And we were all just sitting, watching that man dying helplessly. Nothing can be. See, even there you can't do anything. She is saying, what is our power? I said, you have no. I was so tempted to say no one has any power. But now we feel that. But then, that airport incident is the height of insanity. He is saying, you know who I am? He was doing something. She looked at him in a split second. She got up. She came out of the counter, shouting on top of her voice. Where Yarka Terima, who he is? She didn't ask. She is asking in English with that English accent. It's so. Do you know who he is? It seems he had lost his identity. He went and sat inside. And that fellow didn't know. As it is, his BP is so high, I don't know. Maybe he would have had a hemorrhage in the return flight only. Power. Obsessed with power. To whom you can always show your power? To those who are helpless and weak. All magical. They do all that. For what? Obsessed with desire, attached to pleasure and power, with heaven as the ultimate goal of birth and action. They say, what do they say? Uttering flowery words. When he says uttering flowery words, where do they quote from? Where do they quote from? They quote from the Vedas, Shastras. Veda Vadarataha. Quoting from the Vedas and not knowing what they are saying. What they do? Specific rites for attaining that pleasure and power. Specific rites. What is specific rites? If I do this, I'll get that. That is specific right. If I do this, I'll get that. If I do this, I'll get that. Specific rights. With heaven as the ultimate goal. Heaven as the ultimate goal means that be all and end all of life is pleasure, comforts, enjoyment. At the cost of, that's implied here. He doesn't say it, that is implied. That's why he calls them unwise. Unwise. Because at the cost of other. See, at the cost of the other. Long back, 4 years back, I told that boy here. He brought one dog. Fantastic dog. Here. Oh, fantastic dog. I liked it so much. And I am going to take care of it. The dog is the breed from Canada. It has to sit on, it can sleep on the 6 inches of that 6 inches, 8 inches of snow is what it can sleep. Bring the dog from there. And he is telling me, he sleeps only in air-conditioned rooms, sir. It's a sin to have brought that from there. All because of what? All because of what? I am buying the best food. Every 3 weeks, I take him to the vet, correct. Vet. Imported food only. 10,000, 12,000 rupees I spend, and he is thinking he is a lover of animal. Not the dog, it's a self-love. I like it, bring it in, and that dog is going through. Must be going through. Imagine you bring that dog. See, the town, he showed me the dog. When I looked at it, I said, this dog doesn't seem to be from this place, no? No, sir, it's from Canada. I typed, Google da irukara ellathukkum. All knowing. Even Shankaracharya is not so all knowing like Google today. Google. The whole town is that the breed, the breed name is derived from the town. And that man is genuinely believing what? He is taking very good care. Air conditioned room. See, how much ever air condition you put, how can you give? How can you give that? How can you give? There is no condition. Attached to pleasure and power. That's all. I am attached to pleasure. I am attached to power. I will find my enjoyment at the expense of other. Innocent it is. Are you able to follow? He turned around and said, "You don't like dogs, sir." I said, "Obviously I don't like human beings. I don't like. Why will I like? Nalla irukradhe pudikkalana. How will I like the worst? Not dogs are not worst or anything. Rupa will shoot me. If I say all this, because he is the self-appointed advocate of all universal animal rights. He is the copyright holder. She is. At the cost, not minding the pain that the other will go through in order to satisfy. I like it. I have cooked it. Eat it. You like it, na? You should cook and you should eat. Why should I eat? No. But I like it, no? Attached to pleasure. Attached to my pleasure and doing anything to get that. Doing anything to get that pleasure. Who are they called? They are called unwise. They are called unwise. And what happens to the unwise? What happens to unwise? No determined intellect fixed in samadhi. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidiyate. They can't grow at all. Evolution is not for this category of people. That's what he said. They have no determined intellect fixed in samadhi. He is talking about the goal of realization. For he cannot come down and talk. Because he said that he cannot come down and talk. He is saying, see, if you are doing all that, you will not attain self-realization, God-realization, moksha. He says, sir, adala appuram paakalam, sir. We will do something else now. Practical paakalamma. Those who are attached to pleasure and power, with heaven as the ultimate goal of birth and action, do specific actions, searching for that, and to support their selfish, self-centered ways of living, they derive the authority from, to support their selfishness, to support their selfishness, they derive authority from the Vedas, from the scriptures. அப்பவே சொல்லியிருக்கிறாங்க சார் அந்த காலத்துல. ஆத்துல போட்டா கூட அளந்து போடணும். That's why when anyone asks, I measure and I give up. So in Gita only it is said, you should not give it to the bad people. You only have said it. That's why I don't give at all, because there is no one good around. That's what he is saying. The unwise quoting the. இதுக்கு மேல 2 more examples கொடுத்தா I will be short. அதனால I stop here. The unwise quoting the Vedas, uttering, and the way they quote, they don't quote it in a very ordinary way. They quote it in a very authoritative way, in a very profound way, in a very flowery way. Like exactly how you spoke, Arjuna, in chapter 1. It is implied here. Exactly like you, Arjuna. That's how you also spoke in what all you spoke. I am concerned about the welfare of the society. I am concerned about the welfare of the women. I am concerned about the welfare of the children. What all you spoke to justify what? I don't like to fight. I don't like to. What happens to them? What happens to them? He is giving. What will happen to them? No determined intellect fixed in samadhi. Fixed in samadhi means evolution is not possible for such people. Why? Because obsessed with desires, attracted to pleasure and power. Aurangzeb put his father Shah Jahan in prison. Thank God he did that. Thank God he did that. Shah Jahan wrote a note from the prison to Aurangzeb. Send me 30 children. I will spend my time teaching them. Aurangzeb said, see now, even now this man wants to boss over 30 people. Even now, he has to. That's why teaching and talking and lecturing is such a high. Another stage you could have higher. Such a high it is. Why? Because imagine, I don't know how you all sit and listen. Imagine non-stop listening. Abusers from 7:30 to 8:45 and coming back again to listen to the same thing. What a high. Oh, I can go back thinking. Power. Obsession to pleasure. Obsession to power. They are drawn away by that. They are attracted to that. Attracted to what? Obsession with desires. Feeling justified. Everyone is so convinced that what they are doing is right. Everyone is so convinced that leading a selfish, self-centered life is the right way of living. Now what can you do? And they quote from scriptures in support of this argument. What happens to them? They have no determined intellect fixed in samadhi. Evolution is not possible for them. The assumption is you don't want to be like this. Then comes the next topic. The 3 yogas. What yoga means? Taking to the point of meditation and self-realization. The next topic. We'll start from next week. Desireless actions lead to self-realization. Fascinating 7-8 verses it is. Gives a definition of what yoga is. Tells what control is. Tells you what meditation is. Self-realization is. having understood the futility of desire-ridden actions, we are dropping the desire-ridden actions. Theoretically, it is assumed. That's why we go to the next topic. Theoretically, it is assumed that we all have understood the futility of desire-ridden actions and we have dropped it. We are going to move into desireless actions leading to self-realization next week.